on the goals from the EU mission on adaptation to climate change for the year 2025. I am Philippe Tulkens, Head of Unit Climate and Planetary Boundaries in DG Research Innovation of the European Commission, and I'm also the Deputy Mission Manager for this mission. Today, I will be the moderator for this session. I'm very happy to be here, but I wish to start by first saying how we have come a long way since the first missions projects started in January 2023. The mission itself started in 2021, but it took time to launch the process. And since then, now we have more than 46 projects running and 19 more in the pipeline. And this is without the projects from the 2025 call that we will present you today. At the Mission Forum this week, actually, in Wrocław, in Poland, I was really impressed by the atmosphere in the room. We, in the Adaptation Mission, have succeeded in creating a vibrant community made of regions, local authorities, research institutes, private companies, NGOs, and others, all coming together to tackle one of the most pressing issues of our times. The first wave of mission projects are starting to show results, and these first results give me confidence that the mission is delivering on its objective and will continue to deliver in the foreseeable future. This is thanks to you, the participants to the projects, and the new project that will come in. I hope that through the 2025 calls, many poor people and newcomers will join in this journey towards climate resilience. We still have a number of years to go, and we need to achieve as much as possible in this time. Now, back to the topic of the day. I will present you the agenda. So we'll have the update of the mission, presentation of the 2025 calls and topics, then followed by a Q&A, and then the closing. But before we start on this, we will just start with a little Slido poll, just to know who is in the room. Where are you coming from? Please, I would like to ask you go to Slido. Everybody knows how this works now. Insert hashtag EU Missions Info Day to the join event and select the room of the mission Adaptation to Climate Change. First question, from which country are you joining us today? I leave a little bit of time. South Korea, it's impressive. Spain, Belgium, France, Greece, Finland. Interestingly, it doesn't match with the distribution of population in Europe. It shows the interest in Southern Europe, notably. UK, welcome. Let me wait for it to stabilize. France is first. It's like the Eurovision here. Okay, good idea, of course. As expected, mostly European countries, but some come from far away. Most welcome. The mission is an experiment. We do our best. We are happy also to learn from the practices in your countries in international meetings that we have. And we try in Europe to provide knowledge that can be usable also by others towards climate resilience. The second question is, so in which capacity do you participate to this meeting? Are you from academia, national contact point of Horizon Europe, or you are a mission project participant, a national authority, regional, local, consultancy? You can be several, actually, of these at the same time. Thank you for giving us some indication. That will help also us in targeting our messages. That's quick. You are quite reactive for after lunch. Academia, regional, local authority, private business. Exactly. I welcome very much, of course, the fact that regional authorities are there, private business, adaptation to climate change, resilience is an emerging market. It's very important to increase the participation from private entities. Great. This gives an indication. Of course, this has no scientific value, but it gives us an idea on who participates and who is interested in these calls today. You'll have ample time to look at them in detail, but for now, let's go to the next part of our agenda, and I give the floor to Irene Bonvissuto.
Thank you, and a good afternoon also from my side. Good afternoon from my side as well. I'm Irene Bonvissuto, and I lead the team of the Mission Secretariat. And I'm here with my colleagues today, indeed, to present the calls, but let's start from where the mission has moved in the last years. You know, the mission was launched in 2021 with an objective to serve at least 150 European region, local authorities and communities towards climate resilience by 2030. We have presented to you before in the past years a bit the objective of the mission, which start really from the basics of understanding the climate risk the regions and the territories face today and will be even more facing tomorrow, but then helping the regions to actually design plans towards that and finally come to demonstrate innovative solutions. So this is very much the, say, recall of how we started in 2021. 4 years into our journey towards our objective for 2030, a lot of things have been happening. And this is indeed where we're going to move in the next slides. So first of all, the mission is now have reached full speed, the full cruising speed, and there are a number of activities which have been put in place to serve the regions. I mean, one side of it is for sure demonstration project, and the project in general, this is obviously very much linked to also what we're going to present today. So there are demonstration projects where every partner, every potential beneficiary can apply. There are projects that do provide cascading funding, so they don't provide simply a grant, but they actually provide a consortium that will provide grants over the course of the project. We have research project going on more on aspects which are much more linked to areas where we don't have yet innovative solutions, where much more is needed to do some research to develop approaches which need still to be tested. But in addition to all of that, the mission has also deployed in the past year some technical assistance, specifically target region and local authorities which have accepted to work when the mission to the mission objective, becoming signatories of the mission charter. We do have a very vibrant community of practice, a place virtual, but not only virtual. I mean, Philippe mentioned before the forum, which is an occasion also to meet in person, but it's really a community of adaptation practitioners where researchers, scientific community come together with regional and local actors. So really analyzing the needs and the challenges which are on the ground and providing solution to them. And finally, we'll also have a new block in this slide, which is concerning the national hubs, something that is going to be starting very, very soon. And this is really a place where the mission solutions, the mission approach will be reapplied and will be really help to go forward at the national level. So these are all elements that have been created in the past years. And as I said, over 4 years now, we came to a very complete picture. Now, as I said, the mission has identified regional and local authorities that came forward as willing community to work towards climate adaptation. 15 have very recently joined the community already willing. They have been announced very, very recently. And those are actually regions that participate through mission projects. So a message here today is also that becoming active region and local authority through participation in Horizon Europe project allows to become partner in that community and become a charter signatory in the future. So this is how the map of Europe is becoming more and more colorful, with more partners coming along every year. And in addition to that, I mean, this is, as I said, a very vibrant community which continues to develop. Now, what we have done and deliver most recently. Very fresh, or let's say from the press, you will be able to find on the links here provided, but also through the mission adaptation portal, an activity report where all what the mission has delivered in the last year has been compiled and really goes from project solutions, community of practice events, webinars, information on the technical assistance, very much an overview of all the activities that the mission have done. And together with that, we also have recently produced a catalog of all the mission projects. This is very important because, again, replying to the mission calls, mission projects will become part of a broad portfolio. Projects are not looking to isolation. They're really part of that mission portfolio. And in a sense, they're really encouraged also to share their solutions, to talk to each other, be part of a community. And we also have made a commitment, and we will do that every year, to compile the best solution and to make sure that they all are presented in this brochure. For now, indeed, they are also codified about the area which they cover and how they can really be used also as a guide for taking some solutions forward in reapplying them or bringing them, scaling them up. Moving to the next slide. Yeah, what you also will find quite new on the mission portal is information on who are the mission signatories. And we believe this is very important because when we will come to the mission calls in a second, you will see that we do ask in many calls that regions and local authorities are directly involved in the consortium. And through the mission portal, you potential beneficiary, potential applicants, you will have the opportunity to see who are those regions, who are those local authorities, and what is already happening in the different territories in terms of engagement in previous projects, but it also in terms of adaptation challenges, climate risks that those regions have been putting out, already identifying, and what are indeed the solutions that have been already putting on the ground. So this is important information that will help potential beneficiary also to prepare proposals. Now, from that, we can move to also some very relevant information that is out there. The link is provided as well to you. We have a new mission dashboard, which collects all the information on the mission project and the mission funded project, but beyond those, projects which are very relevant to the mission adaptation objective from different programs, but still contributing very much to making the territories better climate resilient. And we have managed to produce an easy way to see all what is happening across, as I said, those hundreds, actually in this case of project, in terms of participation by member states, participation by countries, participation by type of institutions, whether they are scientific, public authorities, scientific and academia or public authorities, but also trying to see which areas have been already covered in terms of climate risk. Again, very relevant information that we make available, which can serve to create the background and the framework in which the further work of the mission will need to evolve. And from that, what we are going to soon publish is the 4th edition or the first update of the mission barometer. This will also come available on the mission portal, and through that you will see already what are the regions, again, that have been benefiting so far of technical assistance and capacity building, and also where the experimentation of innovative solutions have been taking place so far in the past years. And you will see here over here that actually more and more regions, as that was the spirit, are joining the community, are building on this, enriching this portfolio of projects and solutions, and actually complementing where the experiment is already happening on the ground. Again, we believe this is relevant framework information that can help potential beneficiary also to see where who are the most active regions. But just to clarify, and I think we're going to clarify further when we really come to the call, not only those regions clearly are interested in project or will become part of project consortia in the future, but for sure, if you don't know where to start, that can give a snapshot of who has been already engaged for the past years. Let's see. No, we have some technical delay, but here we go. Also with some very important information. As I said, there are not only project grants that are directly coming from the Horizon Europe calls, as we are announcing today, but we are also very, it's also very important that we also bring back to information on what is happening from those projects that actually have been established to launch call themselves to third parties in a way that actually they have selected, the consortia established, they have selected partners to whom provide grants for further work. In particular, the project Climax, which actually we created and was granted a few years ago, now has announced their second call and the results of their second call. So there are a number of regions which are receiving cascading grants from Climax to conduct risk assessment of their territory. And this, even if it's not direct coming from, I mean, it is coming from an Horizon call, but is something that has taken a little bit more time, but it's very important that actually this is also now hitting the ground, providing resources straight to regions and local authorities. And in parallel to Climax, we also would like to just inform the audience and that the project P2R, Pathway to Resilience, also established in some time ago from Horizon Europe grant, has now come into the phase of launching the second call for applications to provide cascading grants, so grants to third parties to to develop their adaptation pathways. So they are now in the phase of selecting regions and local authorities that will receive cascading grants to develop those pathways. And it's important to note this deadline, which is different than the deadlines we are announcing today, but still provides important, let's say, budget and important support to regional and local authorities. Voilà. And this is just to clarify what the Pathway to Resilience project is actually capable of supporting. So it's very much participating regions through financial support, guidance and tools, and a specific support program. Again, on the Pathway to Resilience website, information is available. What is very important to note is the deadline, which is not aligned with what we are announcing today, because it's actually a project consortium that is now providing this grant to third parties. I think, yeah, we already mentioned this. I think maybe for the sake of time, details will be available from their website. What I think is one maybe important element to note, when we do talk about the missions to be announced, to be granted through the Horizon Europe calls, like the ones we are doing today, we are announcing today, what is important to note is that the mission and the mission central implementation platform is there to also help the project in a number of ways. The mission facilitates the access to interested regions and local authorities. And I do hope some of the tools of some of the recent materials I have pointed out, which is available on the mission portal, will be considered as relevant in that sense. The mission also provides access to communication channels. So once the project is established, through the mission portal, through the mission monthly newsletter, through the calendar of events and the possibility to participate to mission events, the mission will be able to participate in also in the dissemination activities, communication activities, promoting also having a place where to promote their own results. So again, you should consider that your potential project will not be looked at in isolation, but will be part of a broader portfolio, which under the title of Adaptation Mission, really try to make scale and really helps on different dimensions, as I said, access to regional and local authorities. So finally, the clients, the user of those solutions, but also communication and dissemination of results. On the other side, what we do ask to the mission project in return, again, this is more a soft request because it's not really a legal obligation that you will find literally in the text that we are presenting today, but it's important to know that the project that will be granted under the mission umbrella, they have at least a moral obligation to collaborate with other mission projects, and which is a way to increase impact. They will, in that sense, they will need to participate to joint events. They will need to participate to some thematic working groups, or they will be strongly encouraged to participate in thematic working groups, and they will be able to use the products of other parallel project under the same umbrella. The project awarded under the mission will need to contribute to the monitoring activities of the mission, which is very important to measure for the progress of the program overall. And in that sense, they will need to contribute to the database of projects, the dashboard, things that I've pointed out before, or the barometer. I mean, in that sense, they will have an obligation to contribute. Similarly, they will also be encouraged, strongly encouraged to use the visual identity of the mission and to make sure that it's very clear that they are, yes, individual projects, but they all belong under a common umbrella. Just to conclude, I mean, there are a lot of activities on communication, activities on different channels. Social media is one of those, but clearly we have a mission newsletter, and in case not done yet, everybody's very welcome to join, to subscribe for those for the mission newsletter, where a lot of information is coming available also in terms of sub-grants. The mission portal I already made reference a number of times. There are very useful resources can also be used during the proposal preparation phase. So those are surely the most important and most relevant communication channels that potential beneficiaries are very encouraged to visit. And with that, I give you back the line.
Thank you very much, Irene. This was very clear, very complete. You can listen to this 10 times if you wish, because this recording will be available. And I just wish to add that these mission projects are at the source of the delivery of the mission through Horizon Europe, but they need to be complemented by other projects or additional funding coming from other EU or national funding schemes. The mission cannot render 150 regions and local areas resilient by 2030 only with funding from Horizon Europe. This is in the concept of the mission, and this needs to be known. But there are also some very encouraging developments, is that the local authorities that are part of Horizon Europe Consortium in the mission are quite satisfied with this participation. And I wish to repeat that this is possible, because too many regions still don't know that this is possible. That's the best way to connect directly to researchers who can provide up-to-date science for climate resilience. Going further, so the deadline for the call for applying will be 24th of September 2025, and the calls just were released a few days ago. For those who used to apply to calls in, who are used to apply to calls in Horizon Europe, it is important to remind that mission topics are different from the standard calls of Horizon Europe. We operate under the same rule, but the objectives are somewhat different, and it should not be forgotten. The goal of mission calls is not only to publish. Publish is not bad, of course, in particular for the academic world, but the goal is to provide knowledge that can be used downstream of the innovation value chain to bring climate resilience on the ground. So the nature of the expected activities is different from traditional calls in Horizon Europe. And the set of participants involved is also wider for the mission, as the goal of this project is to bring change on the ground, as I said already, and not only lead to publications, as I also said already, but it's important to repeat things sometimes. However, we are also very happy to receive publication on how transformative change occurs on the ground. This is a scientific research topic, and we would be keen on reporting this, for instance, in the IPCC or IPBES, because transformative change is a research topic. As the mission is well under implementation with 46 ongoing projects, it is key to anchor the new proposals in the mission and to avoid duplications with ongoing projects, be it at the national level or at European level. Now, before giving the floor to my colleagues, I would like to clarify how we will proceed in this session. First, we'll present the general aspect of the call, and then we will present them the topics individually, topics per topic. Questions will be collected via Slido using the same page as before during the entire presentation. Please start your question with the code or number of the topic to which it refers. Then we will open the floor for questions. We will favor questions related to specific topics. Then, if time allows, we will also answer more general questions on the mission. Please keep in mind that what is presented in this info session is public, but it is just to help you in navigating, interpreting the work program. We don't reinterpret the work program. What matters is the written text and your view on it, and what the peers, those who evaluate the proposals, would think about it. So let's start, and I wish to give this floor to Sophie Berger to talk about the general aspect of the call and topic 01.
Thank you very much. So for the year of 2025, we have 6 topics. We have 2 relatively big topics that are meant to be as a follow-up of the action of Climax and Pathway to Resilience. So those are big projects that are going to have cascade funding or financial support to third parties. I'm going to come to that a little bit later. Then we have 2 demonstration topics that are meant to fund several projects where we really want solutions being tested and demonstrated with all the relevant stakeholders involved. And then we have another research topic on understanding the incentive for the private sector, and new to this year, but we are going to come to that later, we also have a pre-commercial procurement. So that means that together for the 2025 call, we have a budget of a bit more than 113 million euros, and we hope to fund 11 projects and add them to the family of the mission. On the general points in this work program, when we talk about regional and local authorities, this is to be understood in a broad sense. Also, I'd like also to clarify that for the innovation actions, the demonstration projects, we have request to have 3 leaders from 3 different member states or associated country, and this is not negotiable because this is an eligibility criterion. And we also ask to have 3 followers from 3 different member states and associated country. And we've had the question so far that those followers could be to similar countries as the leaders. For instance, we would have 1 leader from country ABC and 3 leaders, followers from country ABC. That would work, but this is important. And again, as we've said before, the links to the mission's activities and MIFR-ADAPT are key when you put together a proposal. So before going specifically to topic 1, as this is relevant for topic 1 and topic 2, I wanted to take a few moments to explain to you a bit better what is financial support to third party. And so basically with the concept of that is that we have SIDNEA that is giving money to a project made of several beneficiaries. And as we see in the chart here, let's say that beneficiary 1 is in charge of the cascade funding. And so that means that the project will be asked to redistribute money to regional and local authorities. Those projects are very specific, and there are some changes compared to the other project for the applicants. And so that means that as there is financial support to third party, the applicants must submit an annex to the proposal party as a separate document to describe the financial support. They should also describe how they intend to provide the financial support, and they should account for provision on the financial support to third party, both coming from the topic, but also more generally from the rules of Horizon Europe. It might sound complicated, but this is just to let you know that the project NCP for Missions is going to release very soon e-learning on financial support to third party, which hopefully will help you for that. And so if we come now to the first topic, it is about supporting regions and local authorities in assessing climate risk, and we have a budget of 17.65 million euros to fund 1 project. It is a research and innovation action with mandatory financial support to third parties. And really, the idea is that through this project, we're gonna be able to improve the regional multi-risk assessment and framework and toolbox made as in the context of the mission and really continue to mainstream it. This is one of the outcomes of this topic, but also obviously we want regions and local authorities to have conducted a comprehensive climate risk assessment and to be more able to tackle climate change. Also, through this project, we really hope to bring closer links between disaster risk management community and the climate adaptation community, but also better communication about climate risk to non-specialists as a way to drive climate action. If we go now to more the specificities of the project and what we foresee for this project, it is grouped under two objectives. The first one is really about consolidating and further mainstreaming the climate risk assessment framework and supporting toolbox that were developed as part of the mission through the project Climax. And so the idea to do so is to, first of all, keep the very key initial requirements. So the toolbox and the framework need to be multi-risk, multi-sector, broadly applicable in the EU and associated country, free, open source. But beyond that, to go one step further, we would really like to have refinements to this toolbox and to this framework. And so those refinements should be based on emerging knowledge, data gaps, but also on emerging technology, on for the toolbox. So this is the first aspect. It's really bring what the previous project has done and move it to the next step. And the second is about cascade funding, and it's about supporting regions and local authorities to drive change on the ground. And with that, we want this project to serve minimum 50 regional and local authorities that have not yet been supported by Climax, because it doesn't make sense to fund twice the same regions for the same thing. And those third parties, those regional and local authorities will be able to get a maximum of 200,000 euros to conduct the regional climate risk assessment. As we said many times before, also something to note is that it is important to link this project to the wider mission. And with that, we can move on to the next topic, and I give the floor to Federico.
Thank you, Sophie. We go to topic number 2. The title of the topic is supporting regional and local authorities in developing their actions plan towards climate resilience. Clearly, here we're talking about tailor-made responses to support in supporting regional and local authorities. The idea here of this action is to provide tailored knowledge, expertise, and services to support regional and local authorities in developing their own action plans. We've heard before about the ongoing project Pathway to Resilience. This topic clearly is, in a way, going in the same direction of supporting regional and local authorities from the perspective of empowering them to actually take action at their ground level. The budget is 25 million euros for one project, and what's important is that on top of the fact that it's a research and innovation action, also in this case we have mandatory, as in the case of topic 01, we have mandatory financial support to third parties. In terms of expected outcomes, I think the key word here is action plans. We expect that action plans for each engaged regional and local authority are developed. Here it's important to strengthen the fact that we actually strategically define these outputs as action plans, because indeed we want to identify an output per regional and local authority that actually produce a concrete set of actions that eventually needs to be then implemented. Implementation is important as per bullet number 2, because of course we also need to ensure and to support the implementation to make sure that we actually achieve change in the first place. And this will be ensured also thanks to tailored analysis that we include in the text as part of the requirements, of course, that should be addressed by the proposal, including how the cost of each action needs to be addressed. To do so, especially when it comes to the cost, we also need to engage and mobilize as much as possible all the relevant government departments, and this is indeed a key outcome that can contribute also to the broader objective of the mission when it comes to the multi-level governance. Next slide, please. So what's important here to mention when it comes to the scope is that we expect that the project would surely define a common framework of intervention that is going to basically guide the assistance to regional and local authorities, and proposals to define how the consortium eventually would do so. And when it comes to the action plans, we have decided to introduce specific elements on how the structure would eventually support these objectives. We mentioned that the action plans per each local and regional authority should include an analysis of different possible future scenarios, a set of concrete actions to be implemented, including identifying who is in charge of which action within the action plan in a multi-level governance perspective. There is a timeline, of course, that needs to be included, including possibly intermediate targets and milestones, analysis of costs, not in aggregate, but per specific action in a way to support, as we mentioned before, implementation, and also monitoring framework that, of course, will be important to monitoring over time the actual change at the ground level. The action plan development should be inclusive and participatory, and this is in line with the mission approach. We mentioned in the text that we intend here public authorities at the relevant levels of governance at the level of regional and local authorities, but also civil society, university, private sectors, and other key stakeholders that contribute to the co-creation of the mission approach. In this case, clearly the way that this support is going to be structured, we mentioned before some elements regarding cascade fundings. What's important here to mention is that we intend in the text to have at least minimum 70 regional and local authorities supported that have not been previously financially supported by the project Pathway to Resilience, with a maximum 250,000 euros per third parties. Finally, the last point, with all of this, clearly the action plan will be centered around innovation, because it's written in the text that the action plan should also include innovative solutions that have been developed and tested already in the context of mission adaptation, because this is a way for the regional and local authorities to support for the replication, but crucial at the same time for all of us and the regional and local authorities beneficiary to exploit the wealth of knowledge that we already are producing as part of the implementation of the existing mission project. And now the stage go back to Sophie for topic 03. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So topic 03 is a little bit different. After the two cascading funding projects, here we have a call that is an innovation, a topic that is for an innovation action. We have an overall budget of 30 million, hoping to fund 3 projects of around 10 million euros. And the idea with this topic is that we want to demonstrate solutions to help hotspots in coastal regions to adapt to climate change. And so what we hope to achieve with this topic is that coastal resilience solutions are demonstrated and available for upscaling, but also that coastal regions, cities, and local authorities have increased their climate resilience. And here, if I move to more the specific details of the call, what we want the project and the proposal to do is to identify, approach, and demonstrate innovative solutions to increase resilience in coastal areas. Here, I want to be clear that we mean solutions in a broad sense, so that could be social, governance, nature-based, or digital solutions. It is quite encompassing. And we want those projects to have 3 leaders in demonstration site coming from 3 different coastal, regional, or local authorities in different EU member states or associated countries. Amongst those 3 leaders, we would like to have at least one site, one of those 3 that should come from a UCRA hotspot. So that means either Southern Europe or low-lying coastal areas or EU outermost regions. So just to be clear that not the 3 of them needs to be there, it's only amongst the 3, one of them. So the idea here is to strike a balance between serving more the regions that are the most in need, because science tells us that they are the hotspot, but at the same time keep it open for all the coastal regions in Europe. And then we also want to have 3 replicators there that are coming from 3 EU member states or associated countries. Again, as with the other projects, the link to the missions are very important, and the link between the projects. So now, before giving the floor to Priska to present topic 04, as the 2 next topics, 04 and 05, are lump sum topic, I just wanted to have a quick word on the specificities of a lump sum topic. Just to be clear that in terms of technical and policy aspects, it doesn't change anything. It's just that those projects are funded under a different funding model. So instead of having the cost reimbursed based on what was spent, here we have one lump sum share fixed for each work package. And once the work package is completed, the payments comes. And so that means that it has implication in the way the project are constructed, but the science behind doesn't change anything. And also means that at the moment of the project submission, the proposal must contain a detailed table through an Excel template. There is on this slide some resources available to guide you on how to deal with a lump sum projects and guide to applicants. And if you're not familiar with that, I would advise you to look at that or contact your national contact points who might help you. And with that, I can give the floor to Priska to present topic number 4.
Thank you, Sophie. This topic is about extreme heat. And as you know, extreme heat is one of the major causes of premature death in Europe. And the aim of the mission is to accelerate the implementation of measures. So that's why we have this very important topic. It has a budget of 30 million and we are expecting three projects. It is an innovation action, so demonstration is very much part of it. And like Sophie just explained, that we use the lump sum method for funding. The expected outcomes are really focused on the citizens and what the local authorities have to do to protect the citizens. We want the local authorities to be in the lead and develop activities for implementation. To be able to implement and develop these demonstrations, it's also important to know how to fund these projects. So we also look at the funding opportunities for this climate and extreme heat event. Please, the next slide. We want to look at both things that are important in resilience for extreme heat. On one side, we want to have measures that are more technical on how to build a better environment to adapt to the extreme heat. But on the same time, we want also to look at the emergency services that are needed when an extreme heat event occurs. So it's not only buildings and public spaces, but it's also emergency services. And also here, we really want to look at innovative funding schemes to be able, as a local authority, to really address these issues. I want also to focus on the fact that it's on how to implement these measures and to demonstrate it. We know that governance and political effects can be bottlenecks and are part of, and therefore they are part in the research required. So we require SSH expertise in these projects to better provide the acceleration of the implementation of these adaptation measures. Thank you. And now to Vanessa, please.
Hello. So the next topic is on financing, and it is to seek the better understanding of incentives that are needed for the private sector to come in to finance adaptation solutions. So for this topic, we have a budget of 6 million euro in total, and we are looking for 2 projects. It is a research and innovation action, also a lump sum topic. What are we looking to achieve with this topic? 2 things. Firstly, that the private sector is stepping up the financing of adaptation solutions, and especially through different means, through new ways, such as new investment concepts, financing mechanisms, or business models. And secondly, we are looking to expand the engagement of the private sector in the mission, going up from a few businesses that are involved as mission friends to a broader approach where we really take businesses and the financial sector up into the mission and the mission community. In terms of the scope, the proposal should look at and calculate the economic incentives for the private sector to finance adaptation solution. With that, we mean economic incentives which are not financial, in the sense that this is not about providing subsidies. This is about making the transaction inherently economically attractive to the private sector. So what are we looking for? Amongst others, we're looking for calculations and also the development of methodologies to calculate such an economic rationale. The idea being that the conclusion of the calculation should be that it is an attractive proposition for the financial sector to finance. What can this calculation entail? It can cover risks, losses that are caused by climate impacts. For sure, avoided losses or avoided costs, the cost of inaction, lower insurance costs, monetization of co-benefits, and in the end, the purpose is to have an overall cost-benefit calculation. Secondly, we're looking for identification on how to improve this economic rationale further, and then also to develop and test ways to incentivize economically the private sector for this. Again, we're looking for instance, new investment concepts, financing mechanisms, and business models. And finally, the above, i.e. the development of the calculations, as well as the improvement of the end result of the calculation, should be tested in minimum 8 case studies in 3 different member states or associated countries. With that, I hand back to my colleague, Irene.
Thank you. And now we come to indeed the pre-commercial procurement topic, and Sophie already mentioned that in the overview. This is not let's say, a very recurring type of instrument that we do use, and that's the reason why I will try to start from explaining a bit, what is this definition and what we are trying to achieve with this instrument, with this tool, which I hope will clarify also question about what kind of consortium is potentially there. So with the pre-commercial procurement, normally it's a process where public sector organization, let's say public procurer in that sense, they come together to buy some new products, innovative products, which are not yet in the market. So they really actually come together to buy some research and development services up to the point of creating these new solutions to meet some of the unmet needs. And this is really an important element. So it's not a public procurement as any other, like where we can buy a solution from the shelf, from the market, but it's really innovative in the terms of coming together to buy something which is not yet fully developed. So the objective of a public procurement is actually support the development and the testing of this product, which is still not final, still innovative, still requires some final testing or some testing and some adjustment in a way that the product is designed specifically to the needs of the group of buyers that comes together. And it's important that actually this comes in a process where the suppliers of the potential solutions, actually they come together and they collaborate in a competitive, they come together and they compete actually to provide their solutions. So before as I said, the product is actually completely finished and is something that could be simply acquired from the shelf. So the solution should not be yet commercially available. This is a very important element. And the other very important element is the consortium. So the public procurement project is actually open to public organizations. So the consortium that will need to come together includes public procurement organizations. And the idea is actually that they intend to buy solutions that typically are, as I said, not yet completed, but still require some testing and still requires some adjustment to the last, say, to the last target needs of the group of buyers. This, I hope, clarifies a bit, the instrument and the tool, but surely, as we said before, what really is important is what is published on the guidance on the EU funding internet portal. There are some information there of the different tools, but I also would like to point out what Project Valorada has been publishing on their website, which is very much about green procurement and how to drive climate innovation through green procurement. So there, for sure, there are relevant information. And last but not least, the MIP for Adapt, so the mission implementation platform, has conducted webinars about public procurement in buildings context. There was an event which was organized with important and relevant speakers. The event was actually recorded, and the recording of that are available through the mission implementation platform. Now, coming to the full text, again, as in all the other cases, what really matters at the end is the full text, which has been published, a few pages in this case. So I'm just trying here to give a bit of a sense of, again, why we are doing that. Let me start first of all from the context. When we do talk about climate change, I mean, clearly climate change affects different sectors and different sectors of the economy, but clearly buildings are vulnerable to climate change in different ways, not only in terms of they could be collapsing if they find themselves in areas which are badly damaged in case of flooding, for instance, or in case of being completely washed out, but it also in terms of damage or potentially of the constructions materials, but also in terms of not being fit for living any longer. That is really the extreme case. But in any case, due to climate change, also living in a building becomes more and more challenging. For instance, when we think about the urban context and the urban area. So also in terms of the indoor conditions, a climate-proof building is something that we do believe is helping people life. Is really helping the people to live better. So that's why buildings and climate change are clearly something that buildings really need to be made fit for the climate change. As I said, for the extreme cases, but also for the more, let's say, preparing them for the future, which is going to be different than today. And it's not by surprise that the EU adaptation strategy had already flagged in 2021 the need to improve the preparedness of the buildings, in particular to stress really the role that the buildings have in large-scale adaptation. It's clear that, in buildings, indoor is where we all spend most of our day. And that's really why they have such an important role to play on the, let's say, on the good health, but also on the, let's say, survival condition when climate hit. The strategy, the adaptation strategy, and also the mission have put also a very important role to play to nature-based solutions. And in this case, when we are looking at buildings, making buildings climate-proof, we need to really look into what opportunities nature-based solutions do offer. And there are for sure some very relevant, like green roof or green infrastructure measure. So again, looking at a way to make solutions to make buildings climate-proof. Clearly, again, nature-based solution, according to the strategy and according to the mission implementation plan, should be looked at and considered as very, very, very relevant. Now, what are we looking for? The call topic 06, titled Pre-Commercial Procurement of Breakthrough Solution for Climate-Proofing All Building, makes available 5 million euros for one single project. And the idea is actually that we're looking for customizing some tailor-made solutions that go beyond the state of the art, because this is what I tried to explain before. With the pre-commercial procurement, we are not buying a solution out of the shelf, but we are really encouraging innovative approaches, innovative solutions that still need to be fine-tuned, fully demonstrated. So there still needs to be an important innovation element, and the progress beyond of the state of the art is an important element there. What we are also trying to do with this topic is try to bring together different buyers, so that there is an aggregated demand, and possibly we can have reduce the fragmentation of demand, and we can actually create a new market opportunity for new solutions addressing buildings that could be brought to the market. So it's really the creation of new products on one side, but on the other side also the creation of new demand, new group of supply of demanders, so the demand on the demand side, so that the supply of new innovative solutions can really be met by new, let's say, people that are ready to acquire those in the coming future. Now, what are we looking for with that topic? It's first of all, let me start from who will be the ideal consortium. The consortium will be formed by a group of buyers. Buyers means public authorities, public sector buyers that actually are able to acquire the solution in the longer term. Now, that group of buyers does not necessarily need to cover all the member states, all the regions, and all the cities. Also needs to be commensurate also with the size of the budget that we put available, and this is not a fixed number. It's not written in the call text how big it needs to be, but needs to be commensurate with the size of the budget, and the evaluation will assess that. But let's be clear, does not have to be covering across all the member states. Now, what is specifically in the scope is the preparation of the documentation needed to launch and implement such a procedure. So a procedure where a group of buyers comes together to acquire solutions for making their buildings climate proof for the future, but still asking to fine-tune, optimize technologies or solutions which are not there yet. So still with an innovative element into it. And indeed, also the research activities which are needed to customize and pre-operationalize the prototype for the end users are also in the scope of this particular tool or particular instrument that we're making available. It doesn't stop here, because also the activities that will come to actually finally design and launch the public procurement, so activities to really inform a network, bring together all the possible buyers on one side, but a possible also provider of those products are also in the scope of the call. So this, again, is not a big, super large project. It's 5 million euros, but still is a very specific tool. And it's really having some specificity in terms of what is in the scope and in what is the ideal consortium that should be coming and getting together on buying the solution. I think this, I will leave it there for the PCP, but again, as I said, that the call text is quite long and describe in details what we are after. And maybe as we have maybe 1 more minute, I would like us to mention under the other action, this is not a grant, this is not a call, an opportunity for a grant, but it's, we are announcing the renewal of the mission implementation platform. So this will be done by forms of a public procurement with a budget of 6 million euros. The expected timing for the launch of this public procurement is Q2, so just before the summer. The notice, the pre-notice and information about the some information about what will be in the scope of the public procurement is now being published on the portal, on the funding tender. Here you find the link of where you have that information. So it's just a few valid points for now. The complete term of reference or the complete specs will be published when time comes, so before the summer, but is indeed the renewal, let's say, of the mission implementation platform, with the support to the mission community of practice that we mentioned before, but also the monitoring of the mission progress and the mission communication activities towards the citizen, but towards also the different audience. The organization of the annual forum is in the scope of that, and also some on-the-ground support to regions and local authorities. Again, this is not a usual, let's say, grant, it's a public procurement, but as it's using Horizon Europe budget, it also is published together with the other activities under this work program. And with that, I think we can go to the summary slide, and back to you, Philippe Ledmani.
Thank you very much, Irene. And you gave the floor respectively to each other, but you didn't even mention your last names. I want to go through the list because you have been drafting these topics. You have been discussing these topics with the member states, and we saw their agreement on this. This is a long work. You have been listening to the requests of regions, of stakeholders on what are the key research innovation needs. So please, Sophie Berger, Vanessa Bruinhoge, Prisca Hamers, of course, you, Irene Bonvisuto, but also Federico Porra and the colleagues who contributed to the work of the Secretariat of the Mission. We are not that many. Stephanie Matt, Lena Patrick, and I think that's it. And we have also some people on temporary assignments, but who are also helpful. Thank you, Sylvia. And that's the team that tries to push this activity. Those are human beings enthusiastically working on this topic. We hope that these topics are found relevant by you, by the community, that you will respond with excellent proposals. And now I'm prepared to start the Q&A session. So for the Q&A session, you go back to Slido, either through the QR code that you see on your screen, or you can insert hashtag EU missions info days, and then select the room Adaptation to Climate Change mission. And I will repeat that I would like that you indicate the label. You label your questions with the topic number. For example, if you are interested in topic Horizon Mission 2025-01, Klima 01, that's a bit long to insert. So you just insert 01 and ask your question. You can also vote on questions from other participants, and we'll take as many questions as possible, of course. And after the session, if your question has not been answered, please redirect it to the research inquiry service that we have for Horizon Europe. We will reply to you in writing and share the reply with all, because all the potential participants are informed through the funding and tenders portal. You can check the frequently asked question page and also contact your national contact points if you're not satisfied or you need further clarification on those questions. I wish to open the floor to the Q&A, and I wait to see on the screen potential first questions that we can address. Yes, so first question is on topic 03. Regarding the coastal area, do you request only south countries or a mix of south, east, and Nordic coastal regions would be acceptable with a focus on the south?
Thank you for the question. As I said before, we need 3 coastal, regional, and local authorities involved in demonstration sites. And then the second one is that only one of them needs to come from a hotspot, UCRA hotspot. So that means that technically there would be one of them coming from Southern Europe is enough. The rest, as long as they meet the other criteria, it would be fine.
Thank you, Sophie. On topic 04, is it correct that this topic focuses on RAST, Regional Adaptation Support Tool, steps 4 to 6, selection, implementation, MEL? I don't know what MEL stands for. That is too difficult for me. Not on RAST steps that relate to preparing the ground and assessing risks. Very specific question.
Indeed, this one I can take also. So this is a demonstration project. So what we are after in this project is really to focus on demonstration activities, taking solutions and really putting them on the ground. So indeed, step 1, which is much more about preparing the ground, is less relevant in this context. Although it should be also said that the concept of the regional adaptation tool is a conceptual concept. In practice, it is sometimes a little bit more iterative. So that is to say that while the focus is mainly on implementation and beyond, it is possible to go back to stakeholder engagement and preparing the ground as well.
Next question is on topic 06. Is there a minimum number of regions, cities, territories that should be included to apply the solutions?
As I try to explain, we are not expecting the entire Europe to be covered by such a consortium. So normally, no, there is not such a minimum, but again, the size of the project is not huge. So the evaluators during the evaluation will have to assess whether the scope proposed is commensurate with the budget made available. So in that sense, there is not a minimum number. It's different than the demonstration topics, where there was indeed a minimum number of regions and local authorities where the solution had to be implemented. In that sense, it's not a minimum number required, but again, it is expected that the consortium is made of critical elements that do participate in it.
Thank you. Question on topic 04. Could you clarify demonstration site? They also encompass lighthouses. Is there any set definition?
I can try to take that one too. So I think, depending on the definition of lighthouse, various people may use lighthouse demonstration site. It really depends on the community. Here, I believe that lighthouse is something that is being used in the ocean mission, but not necessarily in the adaptation mission. If a lighthouse is a small-scale impactful project that serve a model or as a demonstration for the future, in a way it could be considered as a demonstration site. But what we mean really by demonstration site is actually we want the solution to be tested somewhere, tested and demonstrated. And so this is to say that the question is not entirely clear to us, but if this is what we think you're saying, yes, then a lighthouse could qualify as a demonstrator. It's just a different terminology.
What counts is also to make sure that the activities are as applied as possible and within the roots of Horizon Europe. This is the goal. There are different words for this. Some call it even pilot deployment or demonstrators, very applied activities, something we can take a picture of to put to use a popular formula. With regard to the next questions, are applicants restricted in the proportion of private enterprise funds that can use to qualify for an award under this mission call? I would like to understand this question first. Can you help me?
I do know, I'm not entirely sure that I understand the question, but if I do, it can be rephrased that could a project technically fund only private sector actors? And if this is the question, the answer is yes, in principle, as long as they comply, as the consortium comply to the standard eligibility conditions, that is at least 3 independent legal entities from 3 different member states or associated countries. So if those are only private actors, and they satisfy those conditions, that would be good enough. If that is the question.
To the author of the question who provided name, do you wish to ask another question on this, or is it clear, the answer? Did we provide an answer that is useful? Since I see that the queue of questions is not very long, it means that the topics are very clear. And colleagues, you can be very satisfied because we can even end the session sooner. You can have a coffee break and go to the next session. But I see that you still have some energy to ask more questions, and I'm happy to take that. So I'll take, could you please explain the concept of qualified buyers group, public procurement consortium? Irene.
Yes, I think probably this question was already there before we started the presentation on that precise topic. And as I said, this is a bit of an unusual instrument. So I hope that there was a specific slide, I think it was slide 35, that actually did explain what we are looking for. So qualified buyers group means a consortium made of public authorities, public bodies that will be buying the solutions, and that needs to be a solution which is not yet completely developed, it's not completely out of the shelf, but indeed is a consortium where those public buyers, public authorities are coming together in a way that indeed the further development, the fine-tuning of this innovative solution becomes more efficient. And this the reason why it is a consortium of it's called of qualified buyers. So I do believe we had a slide 35 that was exactly pointing out what is that we're looking for. And with that, I do hope clarification were provided already to that question.
So I'll take the other question on topic 4. What is the expected involvement of vulnerable groups in a prospective project? Could proposals focus solely on vulnerable groups? Sophie? No, it's Priska. Sorry.
No, the answer is no, it has to be a systemic approach. And of course, vulnerable groups are very important, but it might also be the tourists coming to a place that it can be extreme heat. So it's the local authorities are responsible for all people in their local, in the city or in the region. So they cannot work only with one group at a time.
We leave no one behind. So I will take the question on how to find the NCP, National Contact Point. That is an easy one.
Yes. Actually, if we go, you will see at the end of the presentation on the last slide, we have added the link to the database with the NCP. So you will just have to click on that link, filter for your country, and contact those people. But more generally speaking, if you type on Google or another web browsers, National Contact Point Horizon Europe, you will land on the funding and tender portal, and there is a specific section for the NCPs.
The next question is on topic 01 and 02. It is expected that the consortia applying to these topics will be the ones in Climax and P2R. Irene.
Yes, I can provide a general reply. The general reply is no. It's never expected that someone who has already been granted a project is having a competitive advantage on being granted the next grant. So this is the simple reply is no. What is expected and what has been clarified in the call text is we do expect that the cascading grants, so the third-party grants, will not go back to the same regions that have already received support by Climax and P2R. And for that reason, Climax and P2R will be asked to make public also the list of regions that have received their cascading grants. And I mean, we announced already the Climax ones, the P2R, as I said, the second call is closing in the summer, and they will announce who will receive it. So what is very clear in the call text is that the regions that will receiving support by the new project under topic 01 and 02 are not the same region. But on the other side, it's also clear that the consortium that will be granted 01 and the consortium that will be granted 02, one each only, will not have does not have to have it's not a requirement that has any link with the previous one. Every project, every proposal evaluation is happening in isolation on the pure merit of the proposal itself towards the call text. I hope this is clear.
Good. We seem to have exhausted all the questions. Good. So now it's time for a break, and I can advertise also the next session.
But before the break in the next session, we just wanted to highlight a couple of elements that are there to support applicants in their journey of putting together a proposal. And more specifically, there will be 2 events that are called brokerage or matchmaking events. They are very similar in nature, but have different, serve different purposes and are organized by different entities. And so the first one is the EU Missions Brokerage event, which is an event organized by NCP for Mission for all the 5 EU missions. It is going to take place next week on the 26th and 27th of May. And here the idea is to have really a very short plenary session with practical information on how to successfully navigate the work program. And then it enables to schedule bilateral meetings to really matchmake potential applicants. And so in those bilateral meetings, prospecting applicants can present prospective ideas, explore collaboration, and these kind of things. It is also good to note that the platform that NCP for Mission is going to use is going to be open until the closure of the call. This is very important, and if you are interested, I invite you to look on the link on the slide or look on the website of NCP for Mission. Then the other events that I wanted to mention is the Missions Adaptation Community of Practice events. So the matchmaking region, local authorities and RNI actors. And this one is going to take place also next week, but on the 28th of May. It is much shorter, and here it is much more targeted. And so this event is only going to focus on the demonstrators, so topics 03 on coastal resilience and topic 04 on extreme heat. And here the idea is really to make the link between regions and local authorities, specifically the one already involved in the mission, and RNI actors who are much more used to applying to Horizon Europe, but are not necessarily do not necessarily have the contact with the end users to develop and test the solution. There will also be in this meeting some testimonies from regions and local authorities already involved in demonstration projects. And the follow-up of that will be that the registry of regions interested in collaborating or being part of a project will be put together and distributed. And so if you are interested in this event, I would advise you to go on Futurium, the community of practice website of the adaptation mission. You take it or I take it?
Great. And as you see, this is done live. So when I don't follow the script rigorously, my colleagues call me back to on the right pathway. Thank you very much. The brokerage event is very important. And you see on the screen important website that you can consult on the National Contact Point, where to find the work program, fundings and tenders portal, research and inquiry service. This is key if you have any question on the program itself, on the application, the frequently asked question page of Horizon Europe, and the common mistakes to avoid when applying for Horizon Europe funding. That's the interesting page. So have a look at the mission portal and connect with the community of practice. Look at the dashboard. There's a lot of information that needs to be processed while you're preparing your proposal, and I wish you an excellent time and to find best partners in this endeavor. Thank you very much, and please follow the next session if you wish, starting at 4:30. Thank you.